Top rogue decks for May 2022, and I will say that there's a lot of interesting things happening in the format right now that definitely going to catch me off guard. Don't beg 30% of you guys have not smashed living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so we can climb up the 100K ladder. The first rogue deck I want to talk about here is actually going to be Invoked. Now, Invoked in the previous discussion was our little borderline deck that I mentioned previously. Now, the reason why we bring this back up now is obviously, I mentioned this in the previous video, it's also an Albaz variant as well. But pure Invoked Dolls is going to be one of those more roguish decks that you're going to want to keep an eye on, because Wind is still a card, ladies and gentlemen. Like, you can't go around your entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing experience here and go, oh my god, like, you do need to be aware of what can happen to you when Albaz and friends touch down, because, yeah, it's very, very scary. Honestly, Winda is still one of the best floodgate monsters in the game, and now that you have the much more consistent backing of, you know, the branded stuff to ensure that your deck can stabilize, do its thing, yeah, of course. It's definitely one of those things you're going to have to keep an eye on at this point in time. Obviously, I think that the branded version is a lot better, for the most part, if you're still trying to get away without playing that. Don't put the Invoked pack, or play the Invoked package with branded. Give it a shot, alright? Because at this point in time, I think you're really underselling yourself if you're trying to play Invoked without trying to play the hybrid. Alright, the deck is still very roguish. The deck will still take a lot of players off guard here. And that's one big thing that I want to say here for the most part, ladies and gentlemen. Give this deck a shot. Alright, pick it up, play with the good stuff, and look at the results. Alright, if you can't afford some structure decks, yeah. I don't know what else to really say about that. Next up here is going to be Sky Striker. So Sky Striker fell from its grace, question mark here. We don't have the good spell card yet to kind of expedite this deck and push it further beyond so we can do the OTK shenanigans. But I will tell you what we got here. A dead Verti Anaconda on our hands, actually. I feel bad for this deck because this deck lost and gained on this list. Yeah, we still have the entire DPE package. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm excited that we can still sack a Fusion Destiny in our Sky Striker deck and have our opponent go, oh, like, it's really good. Yeah, the downside is you're still going to have to play Dasher and whatnot. But one good thing did happen now. Regulux is now here. Regulux enters into the fray as one of the headliners for this deck, actually, because it can pick up Kagari's corpse from the graveyard, equip it to itself, and be like, all right, cool, we can play the game now. All right, you literally got a Bam Bam stick to just throw at your opponent. All right, like that's the whole point of this deck at this point in time, is you now have an Omni Negate that you can play in your Sky Striker deck. All right, that's where your value comes in now. Yeah, okay, so you lost Verti Anaconda, which cut off your extra deck access to playing that, which means, well, the Brave package in this build is now effectively worthless. Shuggy darn, but you trade that off for Regulux's ability for Omni Negates in this. So, I am curious. Previously, Sky Striker had DP without DP, and then like the pure build. We just lost basically one of the crazier, more consistent builds of the deck, but that doesn't mean that pure and like whatever incarnation of DP will still exist right now, because those are two big things, ladies and gentlemen. Regulux will change the way you will look at this deck. I wonder if Regulux will change some other things on this list as well. Next up here is Dragon Link. Oh boy! Robbie, you're crazy for not putting Adventure Dragon Link in top 5. Albo Lenitus tells me no. So here's the thing, alright? Yeah, you can play the Brave package in this deck. You can be successful with it all day long. That's great. Consistently looking at last format, where there were slightly more top decks, Dragon Link wasn't competing at all, alright? Don't get me wrong when I say this. I think Dragon Link does have a chance, alright? But the fact that all it takes is a Fallen of Albaz to contact out with an entire field is absolutely ridiculous, alright? The fact that just the fact that it exists is quite hilarious. All right, you got to understand that, like, one interaction, yeah, like Change of Heart existing in the format will impact a few players. There will be a game where you will play, or you might see the guy sitting next to you, just the opponent goes, draw for turn, has a shit grin on his face. He's like, oh, Change of Heart. Take your monster, attack for a game, please. And the opponent's just like, what do I do? It's basically the same thing here with Dragon Link. Yes, your boards you make are great, fantastic. I don't foresee Dark Ruler No More coming back into the format to, like, bully you. But at the end of the day, what this deck still does and what it wants to do is very easily checked. I don't know, it's sad because, like, Dragon Link has lost to nothing. Okay, well, excuse me, they lost to Verti Anaconda, alright, whew. But that doesn't hurt that much. Doesn't stop the same plays and things that this deck can go through. This deck has been going through the same hoops for how long at this point in time? So, yeah, shout out to Dragon Link. I think wholeheartedly at this point in time, I'm definitely excited to see what this deck will do. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, it's still not in, like, my top 5. I think everything else is kind of better at this point in time. Next up here is Earthbox. Oh my god! Earthbox on the rogue list, Robbie? Regulix, ladies and gentlemen. So, much like Sky Striker, Earth Machina Toolbox has another little interesting thing going for it here. And it's the fact that nobody knows what the hell this deck does. I know when I make these videos and I bring up that point a lot, that, you know, the wild card factor makes that much of a difference. It really does, ladies and gentlemen. I think a lot of players underestimate the fact of, if you don't know a matchup, you can lose that matchup right away. All right, not having knowledge on how to handle a situation is going to be that. That's why this deck was able to top a YCS recently, because a lot of players just look at it and they don't know what they do. Like, Gearframe and the Metal Cruncher. Oh, also the fact that this deck also gets access to Skill Drain. Don't underestimate this deck either. It is definitely one of those Skill Drain decks that can do well. You don't have to play Skill Drain. You can have access to floodgates like Rivalry and Gozen Match. I've seen both of them in here, but once again, do not underestimate this toolbox, all right? Especially, like, depending on which variant they're playing, more Infinitrack side of things, Ancient Gear boxless, you have a lot of ways to go about this. But if you see a Regulix come down, and you're like, oh, well, what am I supposed to do now? Just kind of read through the cards, understand the game state, and then understand probably from the graveyard that they're going to have some sort of recurability. Those are, like, the best tips that I can really give to you at this point in time to kind of handle that deck. It's not like I said, it's not like the deck is crazy in its own right. It's just one of those decks that you got to be prepared for and just kind of take time to watch the combo, kind of see where the choke points are, and you should have no problem handling Earthbox until, you know, all the Omni Negates are on the field and you're like, oh no, I'm in danger. Next up here is going to be Tri-Brigade. Yes, I am putting Tri-Brigade over Drytron. Drytron losing access to, you know, their other iterations, kind of sucky. Verti Anaconda hurt them more than I think it hurt Tri-Brigade, because at least last format, pure Tri-Brigade did have a top. Yes, Branded Tri was a hard-hitting deck last format. Now you can't play Branded Tri anymore because you can't link summon in the turn you do Branded Fusion. That's actually where the Verti Anaconda bridged that gap. But shout out here for pure Tri-Brigade. You have Luna Light combo. You have access to pretty much everything. And you got an extra tanky back off the list. It's just, how much more consistent can we see this package be versus everything else? And that's kind of where we got to ask ourselves today. You know, how consistent is Tri going to be versus the rest of the meta? I think it's okay. It's just your board's a lot more susceptible and a lot more breakable. Like, this deck is so much more fragile than it once was. But I still think that it maintains its pick as a rogue deck here over Drytron. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe I'll be wrong. I'd like to be wrong. I want to see Drytron, you know, combo off a lot harder here. But that loss of Verti Anaconda to both of these decks really, really hurt them. So overall, those are my top 5 rogue decks. And these are, like, the things that are borderlining in, like, early tier 2, you know, 1.75 and things to kind of keep an eye on. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.